My guest today is Alejandro Vilpa, an internationally published author in Mexico, Latin America, and Spain, and the founder of Vilpa Films, a boutique production company working with Oscar winning and Cannes acclaimed films. He is a member of the Forbes Business Council and previously contributed to the script development team at Caledonia Productions, the U.S. branch of Eon Productions, the producers of James Bond. Now, in 2025, he produced and shot a short film, The Undertone of David Jansen, in Prague with the support of the Czech Ministry of Culture and the Mexican Embassy. Now, the project was featured in the Cannes Film Festival 2025 production catalog, where he also collaborated with Celsius Entertainment on assisting sales and distribution for upcoming releases. Now, Vilpa Films, the production company that he established, is set to launch their brand new platform, Vilpa Max, which we'll talk about here in a moment. And the platform will seek to exist to provide short filmmakers from around the world an opportunity to present their work to a global audience. He is also the producer of a brand new short film, What If the Sun Dies? And the main character, Saed, suffers from a rare condition that prevents him from interacting with others. And if he sweats, it could be fatal. But despite this, he decides to challenge his limitations and change the course of his life. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a packed interview today. So let's welcome filmmaker and producer Alejandro Vilpa and the short film What If the Sun Dies to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here and thanks for the space. Super
You're
happy.
very, very welcome. Now, tell me, how did you get involved with this short film, What If the Sun Dies?
Well, that's a very interesting story. So, when I was developing Vilpa Max, actually, I was looking and scouting for new filmmakers. And then one day I got this message in my email that said this about this Iranian filmmaker that was just trying to, make his way into the industry, but he couldn't make it. And then he was asking for my help. And then I offered the help once I saw that movie. Oh my God, that film is just amazing. It's a masterpiece. So that's why I decided to, represent the film.
Well, tell me about the main character, Sayed.
Yeah. Well, Sayed actually, he's a man that suffers of this rare illness that basically prevents him from sweating, meaning that his body cannot heat up because if it heat ups, then he dies. Um, So basically, the film revolves around the story of Sayed trying to make himself accountable, but also trying to have the experience of what it feels to touch another's skin, right? And exactly, and he met this woman, and this woman basically becomes his friend, and then eventually she discovers what he does or what he suffers about, and well, basically that doesn't end well because what's the first element that makes us heat up? Human contact, right?
That's it.
So in order for us to not have that kind of reaction, we need to basically hug a block of ice or something like that, right? So I'm not gonna give spoilers, but this is like a great movie if you like mysteries, if you like these characters that aren't black or white but maybe gray. You know what I mean? They have texture. So yeah, it's a great film.
Well, it was fun. Well, not funny because it's a serious film. Uh, but his isolation causes mental health to suffer as well.
Yes, exactly. The antisocial, right? The antisocial archetype that we see here is what I normally like to say. It's something that we all can or have felt in the past, which is rejection, right? The fear to rejection is something that we see in this film. Now, something that is very interesting is that the same actor that plays Sayed has the same illness. So we see exactly how a person with this illness looks like. Um, it's a genetic disorder, and that causes, that some signs in your face, in your body, actually are peculiar, and that peculiarity the actor has it.
So wait, the actor has the exact same condition in which the character he portrays.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Also, Amir Hossein Rockney, which he is the director and also the writer. He wrote this story out of another friend of his when he was a kid that had this illness. So he felt some such empathy for him, watching him, not living his life fully, and that he decided to, portray that into this film. So it's not just a great story and a great cinematography; it has an emotional charge too.
Well, how did okay, so how was the filming handled since all the shots are done indoors? Did you have to keep the temperature down just for him?
That's a great question. Well, basically, when you live with this illness, normally they already kind of okay, there's two answers actually for that. You already know how to handle the illness, but in the other hand, of course, we're looking at a little bit of an element of fiction, right? So we always tend to dramatize some things, which is great because that way is when the audience can actually see and feel what it is like to live like this character. So what I would say is, yeah, they probably would they were having this caring toward the actor, but at the same time, it's dramatized in the end. It's like it's a fiction element too.
Wow, this really gives a whole new meaning to this film, knowing that the lead actor has the exact same condition as the character. That's
Yeah.
just mind blowing. And uh, wow, it really makes this film come to life when you know the real backstory on this one. But I've got to ask because the creature in the aquarium, the exolot,
Hmm.
is
Axolot. Yeah.
yeah. Now, I know that they're named after the Aztec deity Zolot, the god of fire and lightning. Is that why that little element was added to the story?
Yes, it was a reference and also a metaphor. When we see, I mean, in Mexico, it comes actually the name from a Mexican term, jolote in Spanish, um, and in Iranian, actually, it's like a Mexican lizard. That's the translation to to that. Um, there's a metaphor towards the skin, right? This creature or this animal, they have to be constantly into water. Their skin is somehow, different from others. It's not like the skin of a reptile, but it resembles a little bit like the, of a frog, probably. So what we see here is an animal isolated in that aquarium. And that is the emotional metaphor for Saed. That's how he felt, isolated in another aquarium, right? A bigger one, which is his home.
Yeah,
And
one of the
emotionally.
yeah, because one of the other things that I learned about that little creature was if let's say one of their arms is
Yeah.
lost, they can it actually regrows over
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
um, they're very, very interesting creatures. And I knew that it was linked to the meaning of this film. What I also loved was the analogy of the snowman in the story because
Mhm.
Syed talking about the snowman was so subtle, but that it led to an amazing plot twist to the overall story, which we're not going to give away to anybody because I found the ending shocking.
Yes, me too. Me too. I was shocking from the beginning still. Like I remember the first time I see this film, when I got presented this film, I saw the opening scene and I already wanted to the world to see this film, right? And when it comes to the end, then you still there's a beautiful twist in the end. Um I think you couldn't I couldn't I could relate so well to the same story. And yes, of course, it's a snowman metaphor too. I think you said it better than me. I said block of ice when it's a great analogy. The snowman. Yes.
Well, the thing too. about the snowman, in which Syed was talking about, was when the temperatures start to rise, it harms the snowman. And so, in a way,
Mhm.
he's looking at the fact that he's like a snowman, but if his temperature rises, he can suffer the same consequence.
Yeah, and I think all these metaphor in the end also feels a little bit more permanent. If you see the last scene, it seems like there's a permanent state of it, right?
Oh,
Um,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Permanent in a way. Um, it will shock the audience. I will say that.
yeah,
And
yes,
it's kind of like, it reminds me of, the holiday cartoon Frosty the Snowman, where the kids are like, okay, we've got to find a place for Frosty to be alive forever. And so it plays into this film so well. But I found that the female character Alice, she was kind of somewhat of a friend, but she was really nosy, wasn't she?
yes, she was. I think she's also a very interesting character that we can relate to. Uh, she had a lot of curiosity. I think that from the beginning when they met, she was very curious about it, right? And she was very her intention wouldn't be really to socialize as a normal person would do. She was just like she wanted to know more about him. And then when she got the opportunity, she kept doing the looking for answers to questions that maybe she didn't have in the first place, right? She was like just this person that she's a catalyzer, I would say, a catalyst to the story, and she helps discovering um, what Saed was feeling, thinking, and it makes. I remember, for example, this we got selected actually for Holly Shorts in Dubai last December. I remember the whole room to watch the film, and they were all like this, like so immersed into the story, just like I did from my computer when I saw it for the first time.
Yeah, and again, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to give the ending away. This is a film that the ending is everything, and so I'm just
Yes.
going to leave it at that. But uh, the actress that plays Alice, she was fantastic, and
Yes.
such an incredible talent. So, how was this film cast? Do you know?
Yes, I mean, so this film first off was very difficult to get made just because we were facing, or Amir Hossein Rogni, he was facing um the problem that most of the filmmakers have, which is lack of money, right? So he had to be creative. He had to open, like a formal casting call, and some of the people that are actually in the film, like as the crew and cast and all that, were actually former friends from him, right? So it was more of a recommendation kind of thing with a great eye that he had, and great actors. Let's not forget that Iran, they have great filmmakers. Like the talent. What I was the most surprised of was how could you make such film with such with not with so much lack of money. You know what I mean? You have to get so creative and basically break so many boundaries to make a great film. And this, I would say, the shots are just beautiful. If you see each shot was so the composition was so beautiful. I think it's worth to mention that has a great cinematography. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what I was gonna say next. The cinematography on top of the colorization of the film, there is this very muted, cool tone that leans towards a bluish green tone to the film,
Mhm.
which adds so much more mystery to the story
Yeah,
and
and in combination with
isolation.
the music.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
actually. Actually, the colorization adds to the isolation of the main character.
Yeah, actually, when we're looking at that, those colors, that's great that you mention it. It's like more cold when we are like in his home, right? But when we are, because there was just one scene like in the outsides when they met in the street. Actually, everything is like more warm, right? Like more yellow, more orange, and then we go back to the home and it's like very blue, right, and green, emotionally speaking, and atmospherically speaking.
Well, you mentioned that the film was shown at Holly Shorts Dubai. Uh,
Yeah.
so, what's been the overall audience's reaction to this film? And this film is still in the film festival circuit, correct?
Yes, yes. This year, the film is still on the film festival circuit. Let's say that Holly Shorts was one of the first festival they accepted the film. I think that so far the audience they have loved so much the film. I've seen impact. I've seen surprised faces. I've seen fascinating gestures of fascination. Actually, before Holy Shorts, it was admitted at Damnation Land in the U.S. and the Amir, he of course he couldn't just go to see the film, and it was like this big theater, and the directors they made a whole video of everybody clapping around because it was like the first film like from outside the U.S. that we're going to have a screening here. So yeah, of course, I think people will love it.
So, where's Amir from?
Amir from Iran, from Tehran.
So, has that been, I've talked to other Iranian filmmakers. It's not easy. Has it been tough
Not at
for
all.
him to see the film outside of his own country?
Yes, it has. I think his journey had been very difficult in terms of not only for the money but also for the support. Right? It's like very to be in art in the industry is already hard, right? So under the terms that he was building his film, it was even more difficult than, for example, for Dubai. It was like more of um, a lucky milestone that we had just because Dubai was somehow like closer to his home than other festivals. So actually we weren't we were like thinking if it would be feasible for him to come to Dubai. I made all that I could for him to be as comfortable as he could during his stay in Dubai. And actually, we met so many good friends from the industry. We met the organizers, Theo Dumont from Holy Shorts, and they were all like very nice to him. And another boundary was that he doesn't really speak English. So imagine how we were communicating through translators and signs and things like that. It was very funny.
Yeah, I do pray that the people of Iran become
Yeah,
free so they can pursue their dreams and go outside the country to do things like filmmaking. And very people do not realize how much talent there is uh, in Iran, and so
for
much
sure.
creativity is that there's so much creativity there that's just waiting to burst out
Yeah,
so the world can see the rest of it. And of course, the great positive was is that last year, the best live action animated short, well, I should, the best animated short won the Oscar and Iranian filmmakers. So,
yeah.
you can still reach the golden ring, but tell me about this incredible new platform that you've created called Vilpa Max.
For sure. Yes, I mean, actually, Vilpa Max was born out of this same idea, right? My collaboration with Amir was my own goal to help other artists. So during my journey as an artist, I started as a writer. Uh, I have gone through struggling like any other artist, of course. But in my case, I just decided if I get an opportunity and I can give the opportunity to someone else too, then why wouldn't be doing that, right? That's why I chose Amir. Um, Now, from Vilpa Max, It actually was born in Cannes Film Festival, where I was, like working with these Hollywood producers, very big, and I've learned so much from them. I learned how the industry was working, and then I just decided to launch my own version to cover this gap that we have as emerging voices and independent filmmakers and the top tier, winning cinema, right? The Oscars and Cannes and all that. So. The idea is to build an environment where both filmmakers can coexist and can be in the same level because of the quality of their films, not because only the batches, right?
Yeah.
So we will find in this catalog, of course, Oscar-winning films, which are the films that we all filmmakers learn from. We cannot deny that, and also we have emerging voices and independent filmmaking that are so good too, and that yeah, I mean, I think the audience will have a great experience by being in Vilpa Max.
Now I under you know the thing that always got me was I love the short film genre. Love it. And but it's so funny when you hear people say, well, short films don't matter, blah blah blah. But the thing is this, short films is where you gain experience, you learn. It also brings focused storytelling where features do not do that hardly anymore. And we're now, and you know this as well as I do, we're now in a form of media in which the attention spans are shorter. We're seeing where uh, people are going into vertical filmmaking, and vertical
Yes,
filmmaking is even shorter than most short
and short films
films. And so, but I don't find vertical filmmaking that great at the moment.
appealing. Yes,
But I believe, and I've said this over and over again for the last couple of years, that the short film is going to be the new version of a feature film because short films get to the point. There are so many short films. I think every year, there's over 20,000 created, and we only see five get nominated when it comes to the Oscars, maybe five for BAFTA. And so there's a lot of creativity there. And it was so funny that I think it was last year, I was talking to a filmmaker out of Hollywood. He had always worked, he's worked with the biggest studios in the world. He had never done a short film. And he finally did a short film. It ended up being Oscar qualified. And now he's hooked. He wants to do more. And I think a lot of filmmakers know the power of the short film. Even the studios, even though they act like they are going to ignore it, if you watch the categories, they spend a lot of money. Disney, Netflix, the list goes on. I mean, look, Wes Anderson won an Oscar for his short film. So the studios know how important the short film is.
yes, of course. I think so. Short films, and that's also one of the reasons why we focus right now on short films, is because it's the origin for every filmmaker. For almost any filmmaker that starts in the industry, they start with a short film, right? In the other hand, the consumption habits for the audience, they change, and right now they are going more towards shorter length. A short length format. We have the vertical series, and yes, as you say, right now the vertical series, they don't actually have like great quality, and that's why we chose shorts. Actually, like we wanted to bring this cinematic approach in a short length without going into that vertical series. That, to be honest, like there's another market for that, but that's not the market that we were actually interested in. We are interested in people that value that cinematic way of watching films,
So,
and yeah, and the winning films, or of course.
well, no, I'm with you on that one. So how did you get connected and involved with award-winning films from like Cannes? I know I'd gone to your website, and one of the Cannes films was actually a Palme d'Or winner.
Yes, we have a couple. Yes, so um, So I would say this was the result of around 5 years of learning. To be honest, like when I have three books in the market, of course, and I started going to Cannes Film Festival 5 years ago, and each year I would go to Cannes Film Festival. I would learn something new that I would apply in my own journey as an artist, right? And then I started working with producers with Caledonia Productions. That working with them was one of the best experiences because, of course, I got access to developing my skills in these big productions in theater, and then going for series and features, and they were very close to me, teaching me. And on the other hand, I also worked with Celsius Entertainment during Cannes Film Festival. They are a great a production company and distributors, and I learned from them too, right? So I would say basically it was from that and from the people that I was getting to know during this in the industry and in my journey as a writer that I just decided let's just build a whole model out of this, and I mean the model worked out. So here we are.
Wow, I always it amazes me, and you've probably seen this too. I was trying to calculate just from last year alone how many short films were actually made. I'm thinking closer to 25,000 because I know that Tribeca Film Festival received a total of 15,000 submissions.
Yeah.
And then Holly Shorts Hollywood, they received 7,000 submissions.
Hmm.
So there's so many films out there. Of course, not all films are great. Some films are so amazing that because of the submission process at film festivals, they get overlooked for some reason. It could be the log line doesn't
Yeah.
work for the film, even though the film is, I've seen films so great that they should be nominated, but the log line kills the
The
film's
story.
momentum.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen this. And since you've worked and you know how Cannes works and others, is there any advice to filmmakers out there that when they make a submission to a film festival, maybe, because there's 181 Oscar qualifying film festivals, is
Mhm.
that there's something they need to be focusing on to give them a better chance?
Well, I think each festival is different. I wouldn't say there's like a whole formula for each of them. I would say myself, I'm still learning from that formula. I would say, and that's also one of the questions that we are answering at Vilpa Max. I saw these short films that won the Oscar, right? If a short film won the Oscars or won Cannes, and then the next year nobody knows about this film, then what's the perspective for us filmmakers that are not close to that Oscar winning opportunity, right? So Vilpamax was out of this mindset of building a bridge between those parts of the industry. But in the other hand, I would say for filmmakers to just plant different seeds. Seeds. That's what I've learned in my journey as an artist. As an artist, you just don't go for one path. You try to, knock as many doors as you can, and then see which doors open, and then just go through those doors if they are convenient for you. Because sometimes those doors they change, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So that's
definitely.
festivals.
Yeah, because I do so many interviews with filmmakers on their short films. One of the things that needs to change, and two things I've noticed. One, when I'm talking about a short film, the mainstream public that watches my platform, they're like, "Where can I see this film?" And the only answer that I can give them is, well, if you're even near a film festival in which this film is being shown, that's your only time you're going to be able to see it. Short
Hmm.
films are not allowed to be seen by the public when they're in the midst of a film festival run. The Oscars and the BAFTAs only give a very, very tiny window for these films to even be seen by the public, but then the public doesn't know they exist. Where a feature film can be shown the whole year It can get nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Uh, doesn't hurt its chances. The public knows about the film. But the short film is treated completely different. And I don't understand the analogy as to why the Academy, BAFTAs, and others won't allow these films to be shown throughout the year for the general public to know about them.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. I would say short films, they have less channels than any other than feature films, for example, right? If you go to feature films, you can even go theatrically speaking, right? Theatrical distribution, you have many other channels of distribution. Um, but in terms of short films, it's also about how the players in the market, right? There are people that distributors that they distribute theatrically, but they don't really are looking for any short films. They are looking for more feature films. So I think it's a matter of understanding that and then try to find the best channel for you. Normally for short films, they go to festivals, and then after festivals, there's not an outcome out of that. That's why Vilpa Max is there actually to get that outcome and transcend those films. We have had um, some people telling us like, "Oh my God, I saw this film in Cannes Film Festival, but I didn't know where to find it anymore." Right? So now we have it in the catalog, and now they can watch that film in the catalog. That happens with one of the films that we have. It's called All the Crows in the World. It won the Palme d'Or in 2023. A beautiful film, coming up age, and nobody knew where to see it again. Right?
Wow. So, all right. So, how can everybody tune in to Vilpa Max? Where can they find it?
Sure, you can find us in Apple, in iOS app, through our app or through our website as vilpamax.com. If you want to see our catalog, if you want to see films, we are going to be waiting you over there. In the other hand, if you're a filmmaker and you are struggling to get your film seen somewhere else, you can always approach to us. We have an open call. If you send us an email to business@vilpafilms.com with your screening link, we always review each film. And of course, if it's a green light, then we will welcome you on board.
Well, I love that. And ladies and gentlemen, now we have talked about the short film called What If the Sun Dies? And it's about Saed, who suffers from a rare condition that prevents him from interacting with others. If he sweats, it could be fatal. If he goes outside in the sun, it could be fatal. But despite this, he decides to challenge his limitations and change the course of his life. The film is mysterious and provides a twist that the audience doesn't see coming. Now, the cinematography and the colorization gives the film a haunting yet unpredictable feel to it, which makes this film stand out on its own. And as Alejandro and I have talked about Vilpa Max, this brand new platform to showcase award winning short films, well, if you have Apple TV, look up Vilpa Max and make sure you bookmark it because you'll be able to watch these award winning films that, like he just said, many times you may see one at a film festival and you never get the opportunity to see it again. Well, he's bringing that to life for so many filmmakers from around the world. And Alejandro, I want to thank you so much for sharing the film and the brand new news, the brand new platform on Vilpa Max.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I'm more than happy. Thank you.
All right, and tell Amir that his film is a great film, and I can't wait to see more films coming from Amir. Uh, and again, ladies and gentlemen, who happens to be an Iranian filmmaker with great talent. And ladies and gentlemen, you can watch or listen to all of the Bond on Cinema interviews at bondoncinema.com. Check out our Prime Show, our YouTube channel, Spotify, iTunes, and more. And remember, you're either going to see me at the movies or from the red carpet.